Ino's a unique character in many ways. She has tools for every range, but really shines when she gets in. She may seem like a rushdown character and definitely has the tools for it, but mixing and matching her tools for different situations and making the most of her unique mobility options will let you play her with much more freedom. Let's start off covering her normals. Ino's 5P is a typical anti-air jab that whiffs on crouchers. Her 2P is her fastest button, but has terrible range, making it difficult to use well. It can be used defensively, but they'll have to be close. It combos into 6P or 6H for a nice combo if you're close enough. 5K is a decent mid-range poke with a little bit of low crush potential, and it comboing into her knockdown is great, though it won't work at max range. 2K is one of her most commonly used moves. It's her fastest low at 6 frames, and pairing it with her hover dash to fake out overheads and go into lows will be fairly common. This will be done by doing a JH close to the ground to whiff, or cancelling into air FD to fall faster, and it will be the main starter for combos and knockdown setups. Far slash is our farthest reaching normal with a good disjoint. The trade-offs are being 12 frames for the closest hitbox, with farther hitboxes coming out frames 14 and 18, but being active for 9 frames lets her cover the range for a solid amount of time. The number of useful cancel options are fairly low and won't always lead to a combo. 2S is our other main grounded poke, being an advancing 10 frame normal. Even though it looks like a low, it's a mid. It does have some low profile that starts up as soon as it's active, which can be nice, but it doesn't have any disjoint like far slash and is only active for 2 frames. And same as far slash, the cancel options aren't great, so wild assault can be useful. 5H is a pretty situational move, being 15 frames and shorter range than our other main pokes. A main benefit is it being a meterless launcher, so it can be used as a whiff punish tool. Compared to whiff punishing with far slash, it's a big step up. 2H is a great button to control space with. At 11 frame startup with 8 active frames, less recovery than 2S, and a nice disjoint on the front, it's decently spammable to fish for counter hits. There's a pretty noticeable recovery difference between 2H and 5H. It's good to use against rushdown characters who you think are about to run up with a quick button. 6P is a really good anti-air, being 9 frames and advancing, but unfortunately got hit pretty hard by the universal 6P recovery nerf. 6H will pretty much never be used in neutral, but it can situationally be used as a preemptive anti-air. 2D isn't used very often in neutral, but isn't a bad option to throw out, especially since you get a knockdown from it unlike 2S or far slash, and it's a low. Dash into JP can multi-overhead people standing, but whiffs on crouchers. This isn't necessarily a bad thing since it can be used for fakeouts into lows or throws. It's also a good option to react to people jumping in the mid-range. JK is mostly a pressure tool and even then isn't used too much, but it can go into 2K or cancel into JD for a double overhead. It can be a decent neutral option, especially when falling from super jump height or after an air dash, since it's active for an insane 12 frames. Also, it having a cross-up hitbox can throw people off or catch people trying to anti-air mixing up their 6P input. It won't really combo unless you hit it deep or get a counter hit. Dash into JS is the most used option. Basically any situation you don't know what to do dash JS. In the mid-range, it's a fast overhead that can low crush, though the spacing and timing is a bit strict. From a low dash into JS, you'll be easily plus enough to start pressure, but from a deep dash, being high up will make it less plus or even negative. JH is your biggest air normal and will be the go-to from deeper dashes since it has more blockstone. If you dash in instantly JH, you'll land before it comes out, which will be useful for pressure and Oki setups. Notice her projectile, which is useful in all kinds of situations. It has pretty slow startup with a lot of recovery, but once it's out, you can control the height it will travel at by holding up or down. It speeds up and gains more hits the longer it travels. The air version makes the note travel even faster. Doing it point blank actually leaves you negative, but full screen almost leaves you plus 40. Use it to force them to jump, then hit them out of the air, or keep them grounded and bully your way in. If you input another note while one is already out, it'll cancel out the active one and make a new one. It's only really useful in a couple situations, but I'll talk about it later. But note has a good amount of hits done, making it fairly easy to combo from. 236S and 236H, which I'll call S and H stroke, are her low profile specials. S stroke is fairly quick at 16 frames and reaches a little further than round start distance. H stroke reaches much farther but is 28 frames. S stroke leaves you plus 5 while they're staggered, so you can't truly combo anything without RC, but it does force them to block with purple combos, showing them not blocking when they could have. But pairing dash JS with S stroke in the mid-range is nice to have a low crushing overhead with a high crushing and mid crushing low. But like I mentioned earlier, dash JS can be a bit specific with what it low crushes based on spacing and how late into the dash you are. H stroke is a solid approach option that combos even without counter hit while only being -2. Especially since it low profiles, it becomes a very useful tool. Ino has 3 dive kicks with 236K, S, and H. The K version is the safest and has the most shallow angle, but is the least used. By holding K you can charge it, letting you follow up with 5K into Chemical Love. The S version is the most used since it goes at about a 45-degree angle, making it great for whiff punishing and it gives better Oki. But it's unsafe on block, so don't throw it out recklessly. It can be safe if you hit their toes, but ranges between -8 and -4. And if you just go right into the hop, you'll guarantee the -4 while still being able to set up a safe jump with the air dash holding up. The charged version can give a great combo, but I wouldn't worry about it for the essentials. K-dive can be used to whiff punish too, but it's better when baiting anti-airs by double jumping out of a hover dash. H-dive can situationally be used in neutral, like catching them jumping from far away, but I wouldn't recommend it. It's really easy to get the timing wrong and be incredibly unsafe. And if they ground block it, they can punish with a jump into air throw even if you hop out of it to try to make yourself safer. Hop out of the dives by pressing the button again during the dive. H-dive's main use is for combos. Horizontal Chemical Love, or HCL, is one of her major zoning and anti-zoning tools. It can be done both on the ground and in the air, and it can carry momentum by holding forwards or backwards during it. The air version has much less recovery, but it's harder to hit grounded opponents with it. It can always be ducked under, which can make it dangerous to throw out since it acts like a projectile in that it has counter hit recovery. Also, all characters with a dash can dash under it, but it's great as a poke and can stuff others' zoning attempts from nearly full screen. Mad Love Agitado, or MLA, is an advancing plus on block guard crush special move. It's plus 17 and only has 9 frames of recovery, but has 26 frame startup, making it a front-loaded move. It goes nearly 2/3 the screen, but is slow enough to be 6P'd if they're looking for it. And it can be low profiled, but only by a few characters, and the timing is strict. In the mid to long range, it's a good move to throw out, since it's practically impossible to react to with anything other than 6P, leaves you plus, and after whiffing has basically no recovery. And it gives a full combo on hit, making it very useful. Her command grab Megalomania, normally just called Megalo, is a perfect complement to her mix-up game. It has 11 frame startup with only throw invul, but when people are scared trying to block a high-low, that's when throws work the most. It does a lot of damage and can wall break from just past round start distance. Her S super is her main reversal super, which gives a knockdown. It can be done in the air too, but it loses its invul when you do it that way. You can do an air button into it to either give a knockdown or force a lot of plus frames. It can be extra useful after double overhead, but there are other options with RC you may prefer. For the grounded version, after the knee, she's vulnerable, leaving an air hit close slash punish, which is really damaging. And since it's guard crush, it can lead to high lows and even an unmatchable throw. 2S is Ino's main round start since it's her 10 frame option. 5K can be used to avoid lows and punish 10 frame or slower mids. Using Wild Assault can either get an early burst or a quick wall break. Jump back air dash JS can catch people off guard after avoiding their moves. Far slash is riskier since it's 12 frames, but it can be used sometimes. S-stroke can punish quick mids. Walk back 2S can be a useful whiff punish option. And walk back 5H is a nice whiff punish option that doesn't need any resources to combo. Dash JS can be good if you know they'll be scared to press with the threat of high and low crush options. S and K dive are also good at whiff punishing round start, but remember S dive is punishable unless you hop or get lucky with the spacing. And if you know they're scared, deep dash JH can catch backdash. Ino's movement is fairly unique with its own pros and cons. Her air dash goes at a down forward angle, but you can hold up and down during this air dash to change the angle you fly at. Since her dash is a hover dash, her safer approach option is jumping. But since her normal jump barely moves forward, dash jumping is much better. Dash super jumping can be good too since it goes even further forward, but you don't get the option of double jumping like a normal jump, but you still have access to an air dash. This covers even more distance than our max range hover dash. And make good use of dash FD to try to stay low while approaching quickly. Ino has good pokes with 2S and her kicks, good anti-airs with 5 and 6P, a threatening mid-range overhead and low crush with JS, air-to-airs with JP, high crushes with S and H stroke, MLA for mid to long range approaches, Note for zoning, and HCL for both zoning and anti-zoning, giving her a full kit. Something to get used to is the timing for dash S, since doing it too quickly will stop the S from coming out. When she dashes, she's vulnerable until frame 10, where she can then block, attack, jump, etc. You don't always have to attack out of the dash, but air blocking sends you back with a lot of block stun. She can fall faster from her dash by pressing the FD macro, but from the air dash you'll need to do 2 buttons to character cancel one of the attacks into FD. Jump into air dash JS can whiff punish, but it's basically a much slower but safer version of her S dive kick. But since S dive is unsafe, make sure to mix up between hover dashes, jumps, air dashes, and dives. Start to get a feel for doing hover dashes into FD breaks early, doing instant JH whiffs or instant FD to fall immediately, jump out of that hover dash to threaten K or S dive whiff punishes, or just a tap dash into stroke to punish options like 6P. And remember that dash into JP is great for anti-airing and forcing them to block a mix-up. 2S and our other pokes can go into S stroke, but may not always connect. Since the reward is low anyways, you can try to force your way in by cancelling into MLA instead, which won't combo from 2S, but will set you up plus and close or give a combo if they don't block the MLA. And using note to force them into choosing an escape option that you can cover by yourself is a nice trap to set up if you have the space. HCL, like I mentioned, is a nice anti-zoning tool since it catches characters standing while they throw their projectiles, but it also eats other projectiles, making it extra good at this. It's important to note that Baiken, Geo, and Abba all avoid HCL even when standing. This is a tool that's usefulness varies matchup to matchup, being strongest against zoners like Asuka and Johnny. Remember to force the RPS between dash S and S stroke, making them think about what options they choose just a little more to throw them off. While it's not an amazing option, dash into air super can be a way to force plus frames with a huge disjoint. Defensively, while 2P is our fastest button, it's almost never worth it to use 2P over 2K. For just 1 frame difference, the range is drastically better. But also using FD to push them out, then jumping or super jumping into S dive is a nice way to get out of the corner. If you want to punish a potential throw attempt or smaller buttons, K-dive can be useful. If they do something like throw PRC, then a falling button will get blown up, but K-dive will win out. And since 2P is so small, you may just miss them entirely while they run up. But 2K as the mash option is much more likely to catch them. YRC will force them to at least block the low, but having a quick overhead option while being plus 10 is really strong to have. If you really want to get out of the corner, super jump H-dive, fast RC, JD. Against safe jumps, backdash BRC into K-dive can be pretty strong too. Her main neutral skips are stroke into RC or S-dive into RC. Doing fast RC with JH can make this more meter efficient. Another good option is note PRC, then approaching with the note to cover more space, or make one of your approach options more safe and plus. Since air HCL is plus and has less recovery, doing it out of air dashes, forwards, and backwards can be pretty strong. However, it is difficult to get the timing for it to be low enough that it would hit standard character standing. When poking with S and H normals, start to get into the habit of doing hit stop OSs of 236S and either 236H or 214S. Doing this will have 236S come out on normal hit and whichever you input second come out on counter hit. An extension from the Essentials section is to do note fast PRC into S-stroke or H-stroke to turn a negative approach positive, letting you go for a mix-up. After a burst, set up a note and try to catch the jumpers with air HCL. Megalo can be used situationally against zoners since you're invul after the command grab whips. An extra defensive tip is super PRC. Her super startup is slow enough that it lets you PRC cancel it, but the timing is tight. If you do get the timing, then it can be very rewarding. When just outside of round start range, dash JS into buffer 2S is great at controlling space. It's nice since it lets you put out 2 hitboxes acting like a whiff cancel. Their goal will be to keep you out using moves like far slash, 2S, and 6P, so you'll be around this range often. Note can be good, but is risky this close. MLA in the mid to far range is very good, so definitely make use of this. Jump into air dash JS is a much better form of low crush than regular hover dash JS. And quick air dash into JH covers that zone faster, but doesn't go as far. When it comes to fighting zoners, movement is key. Hover dash into jump can be caught, but does bait options well. Dash super jump air dash goes full screen and lets you cancel into dive to whiff punish whenever you want. Mix between short dashes and long ones to bait out low options. Or just do a quick dash to bait a high commitment option and punish with HCL. This can be a bit difficult depending on the matchup, but it's good to be patient. Don't forget to mix up between long dashes and quick dashes into H-stroke. And she has a lot of freedom in terms of where she wants to put herself on the screen, so go into training mode and mess around with it. It's also good to play in this range and poke without committing just to build meter for a better neutral skip. Using fast RC with HCL lets you punish moves that are minus 15 or worse in the mid-range and get a full combo. Also using MLA and fast PRCing into JD before it would be active slingshots you full screen. Using JH will keep you too low, and JS can come out but won't bring you full screen. HCL fast PRC JD is a strong approach option. For pressure, dash JS is the go-to starter almost every time you want to run offense. It's used in neutral on Oki, after RC on block, pretty much everything. After JS, you can threaten a double overhead by canceling into JD and pair it with a low of JS into 2K. JH is a slightly slower overhead that will be more plus, but you need to let the dash go a little longer. Since you'll hit JH lower, JD won't come out, potentially giving a tap dust. But JS and JD is a frame trap that only loses to 6P and reversals. It will frame trap even 4-framers, and it'll catch backdashes too. Convert with H-dive or 6H if you hit the backdash. It's worth noting JK into JD won't combo, but JS into JD will. Since dash JS leaves you about +6, doing 6H will frame trap. Frame trapping with close slash also works, but both are vulnerable to FD, making far slash come out or the first hit of 6H whiff. Since there's a frame trap threat, walk into throw is also good. If you want to go for throw, JK can be better since there's less pushback when they FD, and it's less plus so you don't have to walk as long. Also, empty dash, dash into whiff JH, and dash into immediate FD can be good for going into the throw even though it's not safe. If you have their respect, dash JH whiff into 2K, into another dash for JS, or throw are all ways to make them scared. And even just doing dash JS into itself over and over until they show they're willing to mash is good for conditioning. After JD, you can delay a K dive to frame trap, just make sure to react in time, or just jump back to be safe. It's important to keep mixing up your options after JS between 2K, JD, dash into another JS, close slash or 6H frame trap, and throw. Even from dash JS into 2K, you can stop there and do another dash JS. And because 2D is a natural frame trap, it lets you stop them from mindlessly mashing. Also, once you get them to stop mashing, go straight into MLA. And when you start doing dash JS into another dash JS, frame trap with a slight delay 2K or 6H to catch the mashing too. For close slash, jump cancel air dash JS is an unsafe but usable way to get more plus frames for all the options I mentioned before. Unfortunately, 2S is -11, so even spaced out some characters can punish her, and at those ranges the H buttons won't really help. So you can cancel into S stroke to catch mashing if they do it a lot. Or cancel into MLA if they're pretty passive or commit to slower buttons, just remember that they can 6P it. For your low, 2K into 6H is the default as long as you're really close. 6H is -8, but it spaces you out enough to not worry about it, at least for now. I'll talk about the dangers in the more advanced stages. But same as before, you can threaten a frame trap low with S stroke, even though it's unsafe, or go into MLA. You can also go into H stroke to beat them trying to mash out of MLA, and doing a big delay before any cancels can mess up their mash attempts. Generally, it's better to just let the 6H happen and reset the situation. H stroke is much slower and interruptible, but it's only -2, letting you do mash versus backdash RPS. While her pokes into Wild Assault are great on hit, on block her Wild Assault pressure is pretty bad, and she can get thrown out of far slash or 2S into Wild Assault. Going right into MLA is still mashable, and close slash doesn't give anything valuable, so doing up back air dash JS can be decent, but that's still mashable too. At least from close slash you can be plus in frame trap, and going into 2K lets you tick throw. If you're lucky, they won't try to mash on MLA, but I wouldn't rely on it. When you're outside of 6H range, 2D will be the typical cancel. It's a natural frame trap which can be good and bad since it'll catch mashers, but is vulnerable to backdash and reversals. MLA leaves you +17, but +6 when you land, so either do a falling JS or an empty 2K. It's not really a mix-up, but it may catch some people. And when doing a falling JS, you can cancel into HCL and hold forward. If they crouch, it'll whiff, but if they block it standing, you'll be closer and plus letting you frame trap with 2K. With quick reactions, seeing them get hit crouching may let you throw them before they react and counterpoke, but it is still dangerous. If you empty land 2K, it'll true string and let 2D frame trap. But it's good to go right into 2S to frame trap since lots of people will be trying to mash to catch a dash JS. You can air dash after it, but it's slow and vulnerable. It is pretty unlikely they'll be mashing on MLA though, so it can be a good way to steal a better turn, just don't use it too much. It does open up the chance to do JS JD for the double overhead. Depending on how much respect they give you, you might just be able to go right into dash JS after landing. If they stand FD the MLA then walk back, many characters can avoid 2K. If they crouch FD the MLA and the 2K, then 2D will whiff. So you can go right from 2K into MLA if you want. When you have meter, doing MLA into dive kick RC easily sets up mix-ups. Also, anytime you do stroke, you can RC, then dash JS or 2K. Try to time the 2K when the RC clock in the back hits 12 so they hit around the same time. In close slash dash BRC into S stroke versus dash JS is an auto-timed 1 frame difference between the high and the low. When doing corner pressure and you get spaced, use 5P and 6P into HCL, then OTG with 6H for a good punish. HCL also works well against people jumping in the corner. When getting spaced out with FD, canceling into note to catch them jumping, forcing them to block for being patient, or forcing your way back in with note PRC stroke are all good options. Her dash JP can hit 3 times if they stand block even just the first one, but you'll only get 2 if you immediately cancel the dash into JP. Dash JP also sets up tick throws, but you need to walk for it to reach. If you expect them to be crouch blocking, the JP whiff into throw really catches people off guard. If you do JP twice into the throw input, then you'll get the double overhead on block and whiff JP into throw if they duck. And whiff JP into 2K can be a good fake up. 6H is a very useful tool, but its major downside is being easily IB-able, leaving you -8 and close. Here's me IBing it 5 times in a row just to show that the timing is definitely learnable. Even if you try to combat it by canceling 6H into S-stroke or MLA, S-stroke gets blocked just fine when trying to IB, and you can react to MLA with 6P, even if it is difficult to both IB and look for MLA. But if you know they're trying to IB to punish, you can do S-stroke to frame trap and get a knockdown. Or do Wild Assault to get a nice combo or plus frames. MLA can work if they're expecting to do 2K to punish, but it is still reactable if they don't immediately press. When you have meter, you don't really have to worry about IBs or mashing at all. S-stroke is minus enough to be punishable, but if spaced, you can do another stroke to go under some pokes like 2Ps. When doing an overhead, canceling into HCL leaves you plus while advancing, but the major flaw is if they crouch, you're very negative. It can be useful against FDs since you keep the momentum, so it's okay to use, just be careful about it. When going for unsafe -JS resets, it can be better to do a dash block into delayed JS to reset while blocking mash attempts. If you do a deep dash, air FD into JK can be done to make you more plus while staying closer against FD, but I find this pretty difficult to time consistently. I mentioned before reacting to JD being blocked or hitting, but now is when you should really start focusing on reacting. Even if you just buffer a quarter circle and react by pressing K when they block and H when they get hit, it's something worth practicing. Here's me reacting to H dive on hit and jump back on block on reaction against the bot set to block random. Doing air super after an air normal can be used to bait and punish YRC. This works much better in the corner since it'll wall break into a hard knockdown. From -JS into -BRC, do JP to set up a ton of plus frames, letting you true string into -JS and even another dash double JP. If they get hit by the initial JP, then you're still able to do this whole sequence, but it's not optimal. Instead, react with 6H for a nice combo near the corner. And if they got hit by the initial JS, just go right into K dive. From the low option, 2D into MLA true strings to reset a turn and give a combo on hit. And you can always add in fake stuff like a whiff JH into 2K or throw. This also works from /IED/BERC, but you need to replace the initial JP with JK since they aren't forced to stand like they are from JS. But just like before, you can go for double 2Ks, 4 overheads, or anything in between. And if they're scared of the real stuff, mixing in fake stuff puts even more fear of them. This is great since you can set it up from Wild Assault. If you're worried about being spaced out too far for close slash, then just jump canceling into IED/BRC directly is a good way to set up mix-ups. Wild Assault leaves you even more plus, so you could do BRC into JH to be over plus 30, making it easy to do IED with JH mix-ups. But when you're decently close, I think it's generally better to do close slash first to make it easier to hit confirm, but also to build a little more risk. The only downside to the IED setup is that 2D into MLA won't combo anymore since you start higher up in the BRC. This can be done from 5K IED/BRC too, but there will always be a gap that only 4 framers can clash with. Instead, 5K-PRC sets up a ton of plus frames, giving one high-low with enough frames to catch mashing on the second one. After MLA, if you want to force a turn, air-BRC into JS makes you very plus. And in the corner, if they airblock MLA, do K-dive to be slightly plus and trip them up. One of the most important things to learn is S-dive fast RC. Do fast RC into JH to fall fast and set up a mix-up. If you believe they'll block it, you can go right into a JK or JS, which can be nice when pairing with a fast cancel into low, but it'll be fuzzy guardable. But really pay attention to whether they get hit or not so you can react with 6H to combo on hit. It's definitely doable, but practice it. When doing -JS but you're a bit spaced, 6P is better to default into, both to frame trap and combo it. For the combo, you'll either get S-stroke or Wild Assault. If you have the resources, this turns a distant poke into a very strong mix-up situation. Something sneaky is to cancel S-stroke into PRC throw. From 6H, you'll need more momentum, so H-stroke works better. As you fight stronger opponents, you may run into people blocking your mix-ups more than you'd think they should, especially when your main options are -JS/JD, -JS2K, -WIF/JH2K, and -JS into -JS again. The problem with these is that they're fuzzy guardable, meaning you can swap back and forth between blocking high and low at a specific timing to block both the overheads and lows. Pairing fuzzy guards with reactions can make her basic offense not as bad to deal with if you only do these options. Here I have set up all of those options to play randomly, and you can see my inputs in the top left switching back and forth nearly the same each time, letting me block multiple mix-up options the same way. This works even if you do 2K 2D, since the opponent should be able to react to the 2K and block the 2D rather than swap back. If you're fighting really good opponents, they may even see the 2K and get ready to IB the 6H to punish. So to beat this fuzzy guarding, doing -JS into a micro walk 2K catches them trying to cover the JD and the second -JS automatically. Depending on how you time this, you may lose to mashes including quick buttons or even throws, but doing throw is very risky for them since it loses to basically everything else. The delayed 2K also loses to fuzzy backdash, which is just a delayed backdash mixed into their block attempt. If you do something true string, then they won't get the backdash and they'll just block. A second dash JS can catch this, but it's a little rough to confirm, especially when you're autopiloting mixups, but JD beats this cleanly. Another way to mess with their fuzzy guarding is doing air dash JD to make the overhead hit later. Just like from JS JD, this cleanly beats backdash and you should be ready to confirm with H dive. The downside is that this loses cleanly to 6P and is likely to lose to quick mashes. So if you notice your opponent is blocking the mix-ups a lot, start throwing in delayed lows and JDs instead of JSs. Also, adding in throws will catch people so focused on fuzzy guarding. Mixing it in after multiple dash JSs, and even if they get hit by something, the walk will kill enough time to leave them throwable. Throwing with Ino generally isn't seen as something needed since her high-low game is good, but having them worry about throws too will only make your offense stronger. Another thing to do is after a JS, jump cancel into JK for a fuzzy overhead. The main way to convert is going right into dive, but it's super risky without meter. Also, stand FD and them just blocking low makes the JK whiff. Another way to do a fuzzy is dash JS into jump cancel JS. This puts you too high up for H dive to work, so you'd need to combo with S dive. You'd only really do this with RC too since it's risky, and the reward is low unless you RC. One other thing to look out for during offense is them deflect shielding 6H. If they deflect shield the first hit, it can leave you very vulnerable, but how negative you are changes drastically with when they do it. Since Ino can carry cancel her hop out of H dive into the air super, it lets you do close slash or 5K into TK dive to get back in and force a mix-up. With how strong her other RC options are, I probably wouldn't do this much, but it's good for getting back in against FD. Since HCL puts you airborne and holding forward during it gives you momentum, doing a grounded button into HCL fast PRC JS gives you a quick overhead that can even true strength from 6H. Since you still have the threat of S-stroke as a low, this can be nice. And you still have access to JD, the fuzzy, and lows letting you reset your turn. After fighting people who have seen this, they may react to PRC, so doing MLA fast PRC 2K works for a low too. But MLA into delayed PRC also works to put you airborne and launch you to them for a quick overhead. After H-stroke, HCL fast PRC JS also works to make you low crush their counterpoke and punish if you time it well. This works even point blank against H-stroke since you're only -2. You don't have to fast BRC for this to work well, but it's more meter efficient. Doing backdash forward BRC after H-stroke can also help you steal a turn and get some mix-ups. Another strong RC mix-up is MLA into down fast RC whiff JH. This lets you keep the guard crush and leaves you insanely plus. Even with a dash whiff JH, you'll be double digits plus. If they got hit, you'll have more than enough time to confirm into the double JD route. Since you have the guard crush and dash whiff JH leaves you around +11, it lets you do an unmashable Megalo. Megalo is a fun super to use, but can be difficult to set up, so here's a bunch of ways to do it. Unfortunately from pressure, you'll either need Wild Assault or nearly 100 meter. The first setup is Wild Assault into 2K then Megalo. A more advanced version is 2K 6H first hit into a delayed Megalo, which works because of the momentum. Doing it too early will have them in too much block stun and not let it connect. A very fake setup is Wild Assault into jump whiff JD then Megalo. Falling JK does tend to leave you +4 fairly consistently, so this can go into Megalo fairly well. Double JP also leaves you +4, which can be used in pressure or on Oki in place of dash JS safe jumps. With 100 meter, doing stroke into delayed forward PRC Megalo works. You can do this from plenty of block strings, which is nice. If you're feeling a little crazy, stroke PRC before the hit comes out, then Megalo. In the corner, JK 2K 2D Note PRC into Megalo is a very visually tricky setup, especially paired with Note PRC stroke. Mid-screen you can do this from MLA by doing 2K right into Note PRC, or stroke PRC like before. More practically due to meter, you'd be doing it on Oki. After an air hit H-stroke, do H-stroke again to leave you +4. You'll want to be roughly +4 or +5 for Megalo setups to work on Oki. And since you're +4, you can do a meaty close slash to try to catch them jumping and throw in other fake options. Dash jump whiff JP, whiff JH into Megalo is a nice way to trick them into thinking it's a safe jump. You can still meaty with a close slash. H-stroke into whiff MLA sets you up nearly perfectly, but you're slightly 2+, so a tiny delay is needed, but it makes your meaty button even better. In the corner, OTG with JS dash whiff JP into Megalo. Or do OTG JS into JD then Megalo. In OTG JS, jump whiff JP JH works like before, but a delayed JH will actually hit meaty. The staple of Ino's Oki is her Note Oki. After 2D, you'll cancel into 214p, but there are a few tricks to it. When you're close to them, you'll need to do a delayed cancel into note, and the size of the delay changes based on the distance to them. The other thing is that you need to angle the note downward, otherwise they can 6p to avoid the projectile. Once you get it down, it's nice since it's a disjointed projectile that hits MIDI and travels to catch backdash. The downside is that dashing into JS after it is not safe to reversals. It's also less useful in the corner since you'll be closer to them, making the note have less hits and less blocks done. It doesn't work after air hit H-stroke enders since you simply don't have enough knockdown time to force them to block it. While you're technically more plus after H-stroke compared to 2D, since you can cancel 2D, you're effectively much more plus. You could do note oki after throw and mix between dash into empty 2K, dash into JS, and dash into whiff button into another dash JS. The most basic safe jump is 2K 2D into empty dash, then dash JS. Since many of your combos will end with 6H into H-stroke, you'll want to get the safe jump down by doing a mid-length dash whiff JH into dash JS. You can do a quick whiff JH into a mid-dash JS, but you'll be less plus and has a higher risk of not safe jumping. It is manually timed, but it is very important. A different way to do it is whiff jump JP into dash JH. This may need a little delay in the dash JH, but it is pretty consistent. Dash whiff JD dash JS doesn't quite safe jump, leaving a 3-frame gap, but it will frame trap other buttons, make it easy to do the low 2K, and catch backdash. This will be your main oki from your dash JS and 2K starters unless you decide to go for note oki rather than high damaging combos. From S-dive, you'll want a mid-range dash JH. This is another manually timed safe jump that will take some practice. I will say you need to dash a little deeper than you'd think or the JH won't come out. This safe jump also works from K-dive and super wall break. After H-stroke, immediately do MLA to make it whiff and give you a meaty close slash or low. Or do dash whiff JP into dash JD versus a second whiff JP into low. Dash whiff JH twice sets up a meaty low, which pairs well with the whiff JH into mid dash JS safe jump. Another one is dash jump into meaty low or delay JD, which is easy to mess up, so be careful with this one. But dash super jump whiff JH into falling JS is potentially an easier safe jump. If you go into MLA instead of H-stroke, whiff S-dive leaves you plus 17, which is perfect for safe jumps. When you're near the corner, this is great, letting you get the meaty safe jump overhead and walk up 2K low. But mid-screen, dash JS leaves you pretty spaced out, making it hard to be a real threat. You can commit to a deeper dash JH, or just do JS into 2S, but I'd stick to doing this near the corner. From air hit HCL, a deep dash JH can safe jump, but it's very manually timed. It's pretty easy to get it too early and have it not come out, or be too high up and not truly safe jump, which typically isn't a big deal. From air throw, mid dash JH can safe jump, whiff MLA can set up an easy meaty, and both dash jump JS and jump delayed air dash JS safe jump. The only major counterplay to note oki is deflect shield. It'll push you too far back for offense unless you committed to a long dash, but if you read it, you can cancel the first note into a second one that will punish the deflect shield. From 2K6H or JS6H into MLA, do H-dive, then hop into air dash for a safe jump. This is really nice to have for mid-screen combos, but it won't work from JS 2K6H. If you skip the H-dive and just air dash, it leaves you plus 7, perfect for a meaty. If you hold down during the air dash, you'll land faster and be plus 15. From this, you are just a couple of frames away from being a true safe jump, but it's only 2 frames off from being a meaty, so other mashing won't work. And mixing up regular air dash into delayed JD and just going right into lows can lead to some nice mix-ups for mid-screen oki. For something completely different, whiff K-dive into MLA. It won't be meaty, but needs a quick button or 6p to beat it. The bonus to this is that you're so far away they may think they can just backdash to create space or avoid whatever option you would do, but this heavily punishes backdash. It's a little gimmicky since it's mashable, but if they don't, you still get plenty of plus frames. Now that you may be doing air HCL in neutral, in the mid-range, mid to deep dash JH can safe jump. When farther away, dash into air dash delay HCL can let you threaten from pretty far away. This works even from backwards moving HCLs. It won't be meaty, but if they decide to block on wake up, it's better than nothing. If you react to them getting hit, whiffing MLA is a decent way to close the distance, but may be more or less useful at different spacings. From knockdowns like throw where you're close and very plus, you can set up a meaty HCL with a dash into air dash into delay HCL. This can easily leave you double digits plus, the lower it hits, the better. The main downside is that if they crouch block, it'll be pretty bad, but they should be defaulting to blocking overhead with the threat of JS. but generally from throw, dash whiff JD into dash JS is the standard safe jump. Another setup is jump whiff JP into air dash JS. Another one that I think is just worse but still viable is whiff 5P, whiff 5K, dash JS. It's more strict on timing and leaves you spaced, but can throw people off using the frame kills. OTGing with TKS dive gives a quick dash JS safe jump and more corner carry. A visually tricky one is whiff H stroke that leaves you +8, giving an extra meaty close slash, but unfortunately can't punish backdash directly. From air to airs into H dive, comboing into double HCL can set up safe jumps with mid dashes. In the corner, there are lots of auto-time safe jump setups using OTG. First off is OTG close slash dash cancel into JH. Feel free to mash H like 4 times just to get it out. Next is OTG dash JS into jump air dash JS. Doing dash JS into JD whiff sets up a meaty 2K. Another is OTG close slash jump cancel into falling JH. This one leaves you high up with an air option to air dash cancel for more mix-ups with some extra risk. My personal favorite is OTG S stroke into dash JS. It's simple and consistent. Lastly, similar to mid-screen, OTG TKS dive into dash JS. I wasn't sure whether to put this section in pressure or Oki, but this part's about post S stroke hit situation. To frame trap, 2S is the better option. If you think they'll try to up back, 2D is the go-to since it reaches for the meaty and will knock down. Dash JS is the unsafe option, which should be used once you know they won't press, but if they air block it by up backing, you'll be able to force a mix-up. 2S reaches even if they up back, but far slash's hitbox comes out too slow for it to be useful. And don't do 2S into S stroke after you hit them with S stroke since the second one will whiff. Since Ino's Oki uses a lot of safe jumps, doing option selects is much more common. The first OS is the typical hit stop OS of doing a meaty JS and buffering her S super. This will punish backdash and reversals. But unlike other versions of this, since her super is air OK, she will always spend the bar for the super. A meterless version is JS into a slight delay 2K. This will block the reversal and punish a backdash. In the corner, after doing a meaty 2K, input 6H then throw to get 6H on block and hit, and throw to punish backdash. You can also do 2K 6H 2K from setups like this to punish backdash. And when doing safe jumps with JS, if you want to go for the double overhead of JD and catch backdash, input 1D so you get 2D when the JS whiffs and still get JD on block. If you do 4D or neutral in dust, you'll get throw or dust, which is much worse. When hitting them with close range HCL holding forward, OTG with 2S into whiff MLA to be in range for a meaty 2K. If you have good reactions, OTG 2H into MLA combos, letting you do S dive into dash JD for a plus on block overhead, though it is only slightly plus. You still do have the option to air dash if you think they'll be mashing quick lows. And doing dash whiff JH leaves you +5, perfect for a meaty 2K to pair with the JD. But you can actually just wall break from it by doing 2K wild assault. From back to corner super, doing a mid dash into air backdash JK will let you side switch. It does leave you plus enough that you can do an empty dash into low 2. This works from H stroke 2 in case you mashed out, but it won't work from 2K 2D since you are 10 frames less plus than the super, leaving you mashable. When going for safe jumps that typically do dash JS, replacing them with dash BRC JK still safe jumps but leaves you much more plus, and more importantly can eat the inputs for reversals altogether. These plus frames will let you do a dash JS that beats even 4 frame mashes, but it is nice to be able to mess up their TP or super inputs and catch them not blocking. From non-super wall breaks, HCL fast PRC JS is a nice way to threaten them and close the distance quickly. You may not always want to break the wall, so after air HCL you can do OTG 5K into note, but I think it's better to go for the auto-time safe jump of dash whiff JH into dash JS. This easily lets you get started with our wall slump setups with JS 2K 6P. If they DP, it'll give the wall a little more health back, so dash JS twice, then 2K 6P to splat. After the splat, hold straight up or up forwards and be ready to do an immediate JD. After landing, whiff 5P, and this will leave you roughly +17 to 18, which is the perfect amount of frames to safe jump with dash JS. For the low, simply walk forwards a little bit in 2K. If you do the 2K, either do 2K 6H MLA for more damage, 2K 6H first hit into S stroke for the wall splat, or 2K 6P S stroke for the wall splat. 2K 6H is better on block by itself, but you need to confirm the hit faster to prevent the pop-up. The downside to the JD with 5P setup is that on really big characters like Potemkin, your 5P will hit him even while he's slumped. But you can do dash whiff JH twice into dash JS, or walk 2K instead. When spotting with S stroke, do backdash whiff 2P, then dash whiff JH. This leaves you plus 18 just like the other setup, so it's the same timing for dash JS and walk 2K. And same as before, the overhead safe jumps. If you do a whiff 5p, it leaves you plus 5, which is perfect for a meaty low and can make them think you messed up visually. But if you remember, being plus 5 is perfect for Megalo setups, so wall slumping to build meter, then doing this to wall break can be really strong. If you don't like that frame kill setup, you can manually time it by doing dash JH whiffs into a mid dash JS. It's harder to time, but you should be at the point where doing a mid dash safe jump is fairly comfortable. And you can throw in a third whiff JH for a low, throw, or Megalo setup. When punishing DPs, if you like the S-stroke setups more than the 60 setups, punish with this combo for better damage. If you really like note oki, you can set it up by doing jump back air dash whiff JH, and then note when you land. It can be nice to be covered by the note, but a major flaw is if they just take the hit of the note, they avoid guessing with minimal damage. And they can do deflection without having to worry about a throw or Megalo like from the other setups. Generally, I think this is the weakest wall slump setup, but it's worth showing off. For combos, 2K 2D is the go-to low combo for mix-ups and when you're a bit spaced. Up close, 2K 6H H-stroke is the go-to. In the mid-range, from pokes like 2S and 2H, S-stroke is the only good option. From dash JS, 2K into either 2D or 6H H-stroke. If you're spaced out, 2K may not reach and 2S won't combo. Try to get used to the spacings where you can combo into 2K and work on recognizing when you're in range for 2K 6H. The charged dust combo is SHP SHH. When approaching behind a note, it does have a lot of hit stun, but it can be a little tight to combo, especially when you dash up high. If they're standing, you can cut the dash early and do 2S into HCL. For counter hits, 2K into 2K combos again, making stackers better. The counter hit also slows down the pushback, making 2K 6H combo from further than normal. The dash JS combo stays the same. From counter hit 2S and 2H, H-stroke now combos, giving an easy follow-up. When you have meter, H-stroke into RC, into JD, double jump JD, charged H-dive. Mid-screen you can hop after the last hit and JS into HCL. This combo also works from hits like 2S S-stroke, and if you reach the corner, OTG close slash to wall splat. When whiff punishing or controlling space with 5H, it does have enough pop-up to hit confirm with MLA. After hitting air HCL near the corner, pick up with 6H for the wall splat. In the corner, optimize by doing 6H into delayed HCL into dash HCL moving forward. This still lets you pick up with 6H. For just a tiny bit less damage a meter, just do the first HCL, then 6H into MLA. I find this one way more consistent. Another slightly less optimal route is doing 6H right into MLA, then HCL. This one is really easy for slightly less damage, but the same meter build as the first route. These same routes work from dash JS and will be a very common starter. It's more optimal to go right into 6H, but it's fine to autopilot into 2K. If you wall splat with MLA, it keeps you really close to easily get super. If you splat with HCL, you may need to dash and do the air super. When anti-airing in the corner with HCL, dash JS into air HCL OTGs and sets up another OTG with 6H. Another way to pick up from it is MLA, which is also nice since it'll make you plus on block. From TKH dive, if you're near the corner, hop JS HCL leaves you close enough to pick up like before. Unfortunately, many of Eno's combo tools are not burst safe. HCL, S and H stroke, 6H, and H dive are all easily burstable. 2K is burst safe and lets you punish with 6H, and close slash jump cancel FD lets you punish with 5H for a good meterless combo. If you have meter, RCing after 6H is good to bait burst since that's the main point you'd be doing Wild Assault. 2S into Wild Assault, then 6H MLA sets up the corner combos like before. From counter hit 2S, going straight into MLA gives the same thing, and you can do a hit stop option select of doing 2S right into 236S or Wild Assault, then immediately do MLA or 236H to get those on counter hit. Do this option select when poking with far slash, 2H, and 5H2. Sometimes after hopping out of H-dive, doing a couple of JPs will pop them up higher, letting HCL work where it may not work from a JS or JH. When far from the corner, ending with MLA into HCL, then a long dash JH can safe jump in meaty. Since 5H has a larger pop-up, after MLA you can air dash JS and continue with a close slash for a better knockdown. But if you're roughly mid-screen or closer, it's better to just combo into dive for the corner combo. The pop-up is big enough that you can even recover from 5H and do a dash JS. This route builds slightly more meter for slightly less damage, but it's generally better to just use an option select. Here's another route if you hit it in the corner. From counter hit 6H, you'll want to combo into MLA like normal, but you need to delay it or you'll whiff, so make sure to practice this. You can cancel the first hit into stroke if you react in time, which works well. From 2H, do the same as you would for most of the other routes, and go into MLA, then H-dive. For counter hit JS, if you already input JD, it leaves you plus enough for a close slash, which easily lets you convert into the corner combo. If you combo into H-dive, JPs can be used to help with the corner carry, but may break the wall early. Instead, JS into HCL gives the better routing. But when you won't reach the corner, dash JH whiff into dash JS safe jumps. Dash JS into 2K 6H gives the standard combo, but if you can react in time, try to skip the 2K and go right to the 6H. From counter hit S-stroke, 2K 2D works even when spaced. Since it's a stagger, you may or may not be able to combo into dash JS depending if they're mashing or not. But if they don't, then you get the standard combo. Just be careful about autopiloting into H-dive without meter to make you safe. From H-stroke, dash JS will always combo. But 6H MLA can be better, especially mid-screen, so you can get better Oki. Counter hit MLA gives a full charge H-dive and easily converts into the corner combo. For S-dive, fast PRC by whiffing JH and combo into 6H. If you're not comfortable with fast RCing or reacting to them getting hit or blocking, regular RC into close slash double JD is a nice alternative. Or just 6H into MLA. It might be a little awkward with the spacing and the height, but it should work. Dash JD into 6H can help correct the height. The same combo works from S-stroke red RC. To be optimal, confirm JS into 6H on hit and do 2K on block. It sounds hard, and I wouldn't say it's easy, but it becomes much more doable if you look at the health bar when doing the JS. If it goes red, do 6H. If not, do 2K. The same thing goes for dash JS into H-dive. Depending on where you are on screen, you may want to do this instead, just buffer the quarter circle no matter what. An anti-air 5P can be converted into 5H, then MLA to set up a corner combo, but the timing is pretty tight. When far from the corner, 5K into TK H-dive can set up a quick combo with good corner carry. And you can use 6H instead, but you may need to microwalk or delay depending on the spacing. The 5K TK dive works from fully charged S-dive too. If that's too difficult, 5K into Wild Assault also works, doing a jump cancel lets you keep the momentum for easy corner carry. The same idea works from dash JP. 5K into Wild Assault helps a lot with the conversion. Rapid JPs work and are only slightly less optimal because of how much scaling Wild Assault adds. The only time JS into 2S combos realistically is after MLA, since the falling JS hits so low. Convert this with Wild Assault into 6H, or the triple 2P 6H like the round start combo. When closer than round start, 6H into delayed HCL gives enough time for a mid dash into OTG to continue the combo. For optimized corner combos, they use 6H into delayed HCL. Each one requires a manual delay, so it can be tricky, and I think it's generally not worth it, but good to know. When using note in neutral from far away, it'll have multiple hits, making it easier to convert off of than you may think. Timing it so H-dive hits them when the note hits end is one way to convert into corner carry. Jump or super jump JS before it may or may not help with the height and timing. And just letting them fall into close slash then doing the double JD route may feel more consistent. When trailing it on the ground while chasing behind it, if you see it hit, it's best to start to fall to make the most of the hit stun it gives. A pretty specific but cool option is Note PRC S-dive to launch them into the note. When wall spotting, you can carry cancel MLA into super if you have just under 50 meter. 2S can be converted with Wild Assault, then 6H MLA. If you want to go for wall slump situations round start, since you won't be able to super wall break, doing close slash 6H H-stroke into your preferred OTG safe jump setup works perfectly. In just 2 wall slump mix-ups, you'll build enough to go for Megalo or a normal super wall break. 6H into charge Wild Assault can set up easy corner to corners by doing JS, H, dust into double jump dust, HCL. It's best to delay the JS a bit so you get the momentum and hit them lower. If you're slightly out of the corner, you somehow have more wall health, so continue the combo like this. Another way to set up corner to corners is with MLA, then HCL holding forward, fast RC, JD. This gives you a lot of momentum to do an air series and reach the other wall. There are a few routes to make this work, but at least from 2K6H, fast PRC JHJD seems to be best. If you're a couple dashes out of the corner, 6H slight delay HCL into fast PRC lets you do an empty mid dash to chase an OTG with another mid dash JH. From hits like H-stroke where basically no gravity has been used, this route is pretty easy. But from hits like double JP starter, you'll need to adjust and splat with a bounce off of S-dive. It's nice to use this extension after better starters like counter hit 6H, since the extra gravity lets you get more hits in to build more meter for the RC. Finishing up the HCL fast RC combos, remember that HCL can be a useful poke and punish tool, and that RC like this leads to much better combos or block strings than normal. If you're mashing out of the corner with 2K2D, doing up RC gives you enough time to steal the corner for an easier wall break. If the hop dash is a little tight, then do S-dive to side swap. The optimal throw combos in the corner, RC into TK fully charged S-dive into 6H. To save meter, doing fast RC 6H is the go-to. Delaying it so it's a fast PRC may make it easier to combo into 6H and potentially saves a little more meter. For a burst save throw combo, fast RC into charge wild assault immediately into MLA, even at max wall health this splats before they get the burst back. Finally, when doing low to the ground air HCLs, it's possible to combo directly into wild assault as an OTG. Eno ended up being a much deeper character than I expected, having much more ways to approach neutral and mix-ups, especially when it comes to using her movement. While her basics do let her be fairly easy to pick up, she is definitely a difficult character to master. I hope this guide helps you on your Eno journey, and thank you for watching.